So we'll see what the plan is here. Again, both of these teams, when it came to last split, Liyab gave their first win to Resurgence in the season to them in the final matchup, as Resurgence almost went winless. And now we've come to the fact here where both teams sit at a 1-6 record. Someone's going to walk away here with their second win. The other's still going to remain at the very bottom of the standings as we're into draft. Resurgence going to be on blue side. We're going to see that set and Karma getting banned out. Kalista on the red side for Liyab.
Yeah, the blue side set ban has been the go-to so far this day, and as well as that, by the way, we have a trend of blue side always banning set, and we have a trend of red side always winning so far. So interesting to see if both of these do ring true, of course, with this game being pretty evenly matched, not only in score, but also recent performances from both of these teams. And that's why you see Resurgence. I'm a little bit concerned about them in particular, because it feels like Dawn has been the best player of Liyab by far, and yet his champ pool unhindered, except by his own team's draft phase.
Well, I was about to say, the marksman bans actually are the ones coming out from Liyab, and gotta be careful because we have seen the priority come out from the Ashe, getting that as the first pick. Now, to be frank, the blue side Ashe has yet to find a victory today, as all 5 games so far, it's been red side favored. Well, let's see, Liyab is going to opt not to ban for their third one. Maybe missed out the ban or decided against it. Who knows? Volibear, though, was the final ban for Resurgence. So now Resurgence, with free pick here, can easily go ahead and lock in this Ashe.
Yeah, we spoke to Coach Jensen, and he loves the Ashe. He was playing it back in, his players were playing it 2 patches ago. The buffs came through to approach Velocity, her major rune, and everyone else kind of got nerfed around her. You still have the PCS special of the Aphelios plus the Ezreal available for Dawn if he so wishes, but this Ashe, so good at finding engages, except today, of course, because winless, but yeah, just really good at, kind of promoting the easy to execute pick or teamfight comps that you want to see from these teams that do struggle with their macro.
And that's also another question that we had for Liyab, was if they're going to go ahead and draft something like this Ezreal, we might already see the beginning of something like a Poke Siege composition, which we actually had the opportunity to talk to Cabbage a little bit about coming into this week, where we were wondering, why has the team decided to try and opt into these harder to execute team compositions? And he said, you know what, we still are using summer, the regular season, as a training ground. They always say, hey, we can fall back and get our, for sure wins if we want to play something more simple. I'm actually shocked that they're already starting to show a little bit of this come up against Resurgence, a team that, on paper, this is a 50-50 matchup.
Yeah, a lot of development being given, just as an approach from both of these teams through the summer split. Because you're looking at 2021, you're looking at even the second round robin of summer, because honestly, with the win-loss records they're posting for the first half, of course, not looking too hot in that regard, but you can still learn things, you can still walk away with development under your belt, and that's why you're drafting these slightly more difficult to execute comps, but yeah, it's going to pay off in the long term.
Do we get to see here, though, Nautilus going to be locked in alongside the Ashe into the bot lane of Resurgence. So already a bunch of heavy engage coming out of this bot lane duo post level 6. They can try and jump in on top of either this Bard or Ezreal if they step a little bit too far forward. And then for the top lane, Shinsekai, instead of going on to, a niche pickup that maybe Jensen has been cooking up when it comes to his drafts, opting for something that's a little bit more standard, a simple top tank in the top lane.
Yeah, I'm really happy to see Shinsekai a more utility-focused top laner because A, Ornn soaks pressure, and we know that Kanji loves to play carries. You saw his Jace and his Urgot in his most recently played champs. But as well as that, Shinsekai himself, I believe he played Jace versus Alpha, died to a gank at level 2 or level 3, TP'd back into lane, got ganked again, immediately tower dove, died again. And that is such a solo queue mistake that is really easy to exploit against some of these less coordinated and more kind of straight out of solo queue teams that, Liyab could have very well done that themselves, even if they're also one of these teams that we kind of look to as being more of the solo queue-esque play styles.
All right, see here, though. Bans coming through for Liyab. It is going to be the LeBlanc as well as the Nidalee being banned away, and then Silas and Mordekaiser, and a very quick lock-in for Rex. It will be the Twisted Fate. So if there is a champion that you need to apply pressure elsewhere on the map to get your team going, this is the pickup, and Rex needs to perform on it.
So I believe you can actually take Kassadin here, but I'm not sure if it's in Raven's champ pool, rather. Boxer will, of course, pick that for him. Raven, we actually looked at some of his champion picks so far this split, and he's not got the most stellar selection in terms of depth. He defaulted to Ryze last time we saw him, even though that's not the most optimal champion. And honestly, I think there are a couple of options you can take into the TF that are maybe not in his wheelhouse, like the Kassadin.
Well, interesting here for Resurgence. We get to see I think this is our second or third Kindred pickup for the summer split, as that's going to be Epic on the champion. And then Raven, instead of going into, your assassin or, your 1v1 style S champion, opting in for Orianna. So from Resurgence, this is looking like a much more standard, simple team composition. You pile in the ultimates and have that Kindred there for the safety.
Yeah, and this TF will not pressure the Orianna at all in lane, so you can just see Raven play that comfortable scaling kind of scenario that he's chosen to opt into in times before, and it means that if the enemy team do pile into that Kindred ult later on, you just pop the shockwave while they're all clustered in that.
And then you see too as well for the top lane for Kanji. He gets his second opportunity this time to play an Urgot. The last time we saw this was up against Nova. Unfortunately, he got counterpicked pretty heavily by a Kalista top coming out from Rocky. This time around, should have the range advantage up against the Ornn.
My main concern here is that I'm looking at Rex and I'm saying, okay, where can you actually gank? I guess you can pressure out Boxer in the bottom lane, and get a lot down there, but the issue is the Ornn's not really a valid target for the TF because you can just unstoppable when he throws out the gold card by channeling the breath, and honestly it puts a lot of burden on Rex to A, try and trade back with Orianna early, and B, actually make his presence known in the bottom lane.
Well, here we go. Classic battle when it comes to Southeast Asia League of Legends. It's Singapore taking on the Philippines. Resurgence up against Liyab. Both teams sit at the bottom of the PCS standings. Only one team, though, will remain there. The other gets to claim the extra victory as we go ahead and load onto the Rift for our final game of the night.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
And for both of these teams, if you are a fan, considering the performance you have seen so far in the summer split, you're hoping for some stars to align for either one of these squads. There's a lot of potential, we've been told, on both of these rosters. We've only seen glimpses of it. And I'll give it to Resurgence, actually. There was the game up against Alpha, where they were very close to taking home their second victory of summer, but just closing in, finishing off that game was the thing that prevented them from actually securing it.
Yeah, Resurgence in that game in particular got smashed in the early game, like absolutely trashed by the mid-jungle duo of Alpha, and then actually did very well to hold on to the game through some well-executed team fights around neutral objectives. And then, yeah, they got a bit greedy to close it out. Mexi in particular struggled a bit. And this is actually, again, something that I spoke to with a couple of coaches when I was reviewing VODs and whatever, is that if you have a player that is too overly aggressive, that does tend to like E in on Ezreal randomly, put him on a champ that can E in. Put him on a champ that can, reliably sit back, and he'll become more aware of his positioning as the games go on.
Well, and when we got to talk to Cabbage a little bit, he kind of felt like both Liyab and Resurgence kind of have the same issue when it comes to their performances here in summer, is that both teams are laying a foundation with these new faces that are only starting to show some results here and there, and once they're able to get past these teething pains, they'll be able to excel. As we see in mid lane, we wanted to see an aggressive Doi, and he forces out the flash immediately out of Raven.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine, trading the Trundle Flash at this stage of the game, because it means that you can just return for the Orianna later on. Raven taking the cleanse does mean he's safe from one gold card, but that just means that that's another summoner obstacle for this Trundle to overcome, and then you should start to see the return ganks really pay dividends for Liyab. But this is a long-term investment that they've now made, so you need to see them be more proactive around that mid lane for now.
So there we go. We wanted to see this mid-jungle duo try and make an impact early, and all right, you got yourself a flash down. You give yourself a window of about 4 to 5 minutes where you can try and make a repeat gank, try and get Raven down early, get Rex on the board, because we've always kind of wondered what would happen if Rex gets himself on a carry. This opportunity, he can be a carry on this Twisted Fate if he's given the resources to succeed.
And the thing is that if you pressure out this Orianna early, it means mid-prio will maybe swing back in favor of the TF. It's a little bit of a tall order just because TF does struggle clearing out the waves early when he opts into the AP build, and Orianna does have really safe, reliable wave clear. But at the same time, if you can get just a little bit of pressure back, suddenly contesting the marks on the Kindred becomes much, much, much more difficult to execute on because Doidoi has Rex with him.
And it's always feels bad, too, if you are a Kindred and you lose out on that first mark, as Doidoi is able to get the 50-50 when it comes to the Scuttle spawn. And that just means, you know, Epic doesn't get his free mark right off the bat.
Of course, we did mention when we saw Kindred in the past, 4 marks at 20 minutes going to be that sweet spot. If this game is as slow as the others from today, maybe we will see a farm game and that be a possibility. But hopefully, we'll get the bloodbath we were promised back in Champ Select.
Yeah, I'm hoping for a bit more action. You know, we had our, you know, a little bit of our casual game, you could say, between of all teams, PSG and AHQ, where they decided to take a step back and let the farm game roll. Especially toward this bot lane, I think level 6, you got that Nautilus, you got that Ashe. That's very much your go combo when you take a look toward the possible bot lane combinations you can run at the moment.
Yeah, RSG have a much better team fight, a much better 5v5, but as you said, Liyab, they willingly opt into the complex compositions, and that's why they have the 1-3-1 execution. They have the picks available, they have the siege if they get ahead, and honestly, they can make the magic happen if they don't die early.
Yeah, because that has been kind of the weak spot when it comes to Liyab's game plan, is most of the time when we see them play out, usually it's a fight around the 20-minute to 25-minute mark, that if Liyab are able to, say, go even in, usually the game can kind of calm down, they're able to stall it out, and then it kind of turns into a 50-50. But then we've seen the other situation where they get completely wiped from the map, and then that just snowballs from like 1,000 gold lead into like a 5,000 gold lead and then into a Baron. And then at that point, they just kind of throw in the towel and we don't see anything from them again.
Yeah, Liyab did look fairly competitive against AHQ, at least, in that big upset victory, and that was off of a more traditional 5v5 kind of composition from them. So the fact that they're still opting into these crazy to execute, more difficult comps is both promising, but also kind of worrying if they are looking for a victory here.
Here we go. Destiny going to be popped here immediately, and Rex goes immediately on to that Kindred, and that's going to be first blood going on over to Liyab. We wanted to see this Twisted Fate make an impact, and able to do so with this first blood.
You were like, yeah, let's see the TF ult to a side lane influence the map. But no, he ulted like a screen away. It worked out. He got something. Yeah? All right, we take those. Rex, 100% kill participation so far this game.
But hey, we wanted to see him actually make an impact. There's times where, you know, Doidoi and Mocha would go for roams like this, and Rex wouldn't even think about coming on down. To see him start, that's a good sign for Liyab.
Yeah, also to note is that was good aggression from Liyab, just because they know for a fact Orianna wasn't quite 6 yet, Raven was still waiting for that, and so they picked the time to go aggressive very, very well for themselves.
And that's how you want. You want to ignite the game here early if you're on the side of Liyab, and with that, it's going to be a 1,000 gold lead. Doidoi already onto the map, has been making rounds when it comes to the ganks. We also mentioned with Mocha, loves to roam on support, and this time around he has himself the Bard. This bot lane though, no level 6 just yet, but here we go, double TP coming out actually from Liyab, make it a 4v4 as Rex wants to join in. Kanji does so too, brings in the ultimate, and able to find a 3-man fear into a true shot barrage. Call the Forge God a little bit too late on the side of Resurgence. Kanji may fall in the end, but that is still going to be 2 kills in favor of Liyab. Doidoi wanted to head on back. That's Shockwave, though, coming out from Raven, and now flash forward. Rex, though, not taken down. Dawn gets the kill on Mexi, and Rex is still alive, and now Shinsekai has to run for the hills, has to dodge this last auto attack, is able to keep himself safe behind the minions, and Liyab, it's going to be a 3-for-1 in bot lane.
Liyab unable to find that last kill, but they got so much from it, they don't even care. Good engage from Resurgence to start this one off. Yes, they get the attempted disengage from Liyab, but the 2 TPs. This Urgot comes up huge from Kanji, and we said he is the catalyst. That's why everyone else's KP is so low, because this top laner makes the plays happen on his carry picks.
And with that, too, we also saw Rex not afraid to pull the trigger, has his teleport available. Even without the Destiny, he gets to live just that sliver of health. Unfortunately, Mexi can't trade back the kill. And it's Twisted Fate now. Very much online. Has another kill, as well as 3 assists. And speaking of online, Dawn, now 2 kills on the Ezreal, able to pick up a Sheen and a Tier on his first back.
And the fact that Resurgence have given 4 kills over in the first 8 minutes to a comp with a Rod of Ages APTF in the mid lane and a tier Ezreal as well. Liyab have scaling, but they're still making proactive plays.
What is this? Liyab, in comes Mocha. True Shot Barrage is just able to nail him down. Dawn on a killing spree. And Liyab
Destiny
already looking to continue up this pace as Rex jumps on in. Gold card laid down. Ignite also going to be ticked. The wild card's got a decent chunk of damage. Boxer forced to flash away. Rex is all over the map already. It's not even 10 minutes, and Liyab have already found themselves 5 kills and a 2,000 gold lead.
He absolutely heard you were talking smack, Opal.
Apparently.
As soon as he locked in that TF just across the map. Mexi, a little bit too far forward considering, you know, not only are you super vulnerable in that position anyway, but consider, TF had ult at this point. It was spooky. It was scary. Why are you that far up in lane and not just hugging tower, farming it up?
And with that too, Doidoi is able to transfer this, again, advantage just by getting the kills into control around the Rift Herald. First Dragon still yet to be taken, but with this, and if Liyab are able to maintain this pressure, possibility that this Rift Herald can blow open this early game wide open onto the side of Liyab.
That will be the goal, because Resurgence have the reliable scaling of the Ashe, of the Orianna, of the Kindred, these late game hyper carries with the ornaments, with that big bulky front line of Ornn Nautilus. There's so much available for Resurgence if they can get to the teamfight phase.
So now if you're on the side of Resurgence, like you mentioned, you have to somehow stem this bleeding quite a bit, because the way it's going, Liyab are getting a bit comfortable when it comes to these plays. We've already seen them already roam around the map non-stop. Mocha's gone for a magical journey here and there. They've been able to match up where Mexi is, and Doidoi is even going to go ahead and start up the first dragon of the game, and we've not seen a single response just yet from Resurgence.
10.5 minute dragons. I thought we were out of Spring Split, Opal, but nope, this is a callback to PCS vintage. I am not huge on it, but hey, we get it eventually. It does mean that Liyab... The issue I have with taking the Drake so late is that when you have a comp that, as we just mentioned, does spike a little bit earlier, does rely on getting ahead in the mid game, you've basically denied yourself the Dragon Soul win condition for an extra 5 minutes that you maybe don't want to give over to Resurgence to scale with.
Now you say, though, the tendencies of PCS Spring. Also be mind, though, most of the time when that happened, it was a trade of a Rift Herald for a Dragon. I think this is one of the first times we've seen Liyab both get the first Rift Herald and the first Dragon and have so many kills. So I think you take those small victories if you're a fan of Liyab right now.
Definitely do, you know, see a lot of promise from what we've seen so far this game. Rex in particular been very, very prominent. And yeah, Rift Herald now here. More proactivity.
More proactivity. Rex needs to stay within range to get the local gold, and there you go. You get an extra 160 onto him. You'd probably like to at least take the tower, but still getting that extra 300 across the board for Liyab may be worthwhile in their eyes, as that will still get taken down there by Raven, sitting on a half-health turret in mid.
Yeah, once you get that mid lane tier 1, suddenly TF has much more of the map to work with. Suddenly you can, you know, get the Bard rotations, get the Bard deep vision that little bit more aggressively. And Resurgence, there are mobile carries. The Ashe doesn't have cleanse, of course, because she went heal for the lane phase that they lost anyway. it's a really, really daunting prospect for Resurgence to navigate the next couple of minutes and probably the rest of this game.
Well, that's kind of my question, because Liyab, we've now started to see them get their first items online. Black Cleaver completed at 12.5 minutes here for Kanji. You also have the Roa starting to stack here on Rex, as well as Muramana starting to get stacked for the Ezreal. If you're on the side of Resurgence, like, what's your item break point you're kind of looking at? Or you might just get the solo kill here in mid lane, as that is going to be exhaust used by Rex to keep him safe. But going back here, what's kind of the break point we're waiting for on the side of Resurgence? They're not even giving you a chance to talk here. Shinsekai forced the flash away. In they go. It's called the Forge Guard, going to be used. Can only knock up one of them. Kanji's damage does get slowed down. Unfortunately for the side of Resurgence, not going to matter, as Kanji should be able to escape just fine.
Yeah, Fibby on Death used exclusively for the slow, or maybe hit the Ornn while he was unstoppable. I didn't quite catch it. In the end, though, didn't even need it. Just Kanji and Doidoi functioning as a unit again. It's what we said Liyab found a lot of success and a lot of not success with earlier this split, but it's tried and true, and it's something they're super comfortable with, just having their jungle top work as a cohesive unit.
And there you saw, it doesn't look like, it actually looked like it was used at the beginning of the fight. They were hoping to get a little bit more burst down. Bot lane here, though, give it to Resurgence. They've actually been able to pick up almost 4 plates onto Mexi. He's been able to get some gold back into his pocket, but we have noticed that has opted into, it looks like the inspiration tree, so he's actually gone for the free boots, so opting not to rush into the Greaves right away.
Yeah, of course, Greaves Rush has been my go-to, but we saw it last game as well, I believe, into Ezreal Bard again, just where you're not actively looking to trade with this lane, because they will out-DPS you, they will out-damage you, and they will probably kill you. So yeah, just getting the Blade and that single item spike, really gonna pay dividends for the AD carry of Resurgence.
See Doidoi making his appearance once again. I don't know if Doidoi also heard us talking about him, how we've seen a little bit of a lack of attention when he is on something like a Trundle, but now just camping toward the top side of the map. We also see from Dawn as well as Mocha. Looks like they're able to get a little bit more chip damage onto that tower, but not able to claim first brick just yet. Need another minion wave to crash in, or maybe possibly looking for a play here if Resurgence step too far forward, because look at Rex on your minimap, already pathing down.
Yeah, and I think that Doidoi's pathing this game has been, you know, mainly towards the top side, not only because Kanji is such a reliable point to play through, but also think about how Shinsekai has always just been the point of punishment for Resurgence, especially in the early game. We mentioned Alpha, there are other games as well. He's on a tank now that you can't really punish, so I do have to question, have Liyab made the right move by aggressively pursuing this Ornn?
Well, at least gets Kanji on the board as bot lane here with the minions. That should be first brick gold going on over to Dawn. So he's going to get himself injected with some gold himself, and going to be sitting very pretty as he heads now into the early mid-game transition.
Yeah, the issue is that after the early to mid-game transition, we hit mid to late, and mid to late is where the big objectives become a point of contention, and it's where the team fight phase is really significant, and that's where Resurgence's comp will really shine. You have the Shockwave, the Lamb's Respite, literally any of these ultimates on the side of Resurgence is enough to turn a fight if they find their mark.
Well, we see here, Liyab kind of have an idea of what's going on. Instead of trying to contest this Drake, it's a rather fast take by Resurgence. They opt say, we need to go ahead, we got to get this second Rift Herald because we have to continue to plow down turrets when we can.
Again, I'm not necessarily sold on this just because Liyab, as we said, really want that soul as soon as possible to close out in the mid-game before the team fights really roll around. But at the same time, as long as they're trading actively, I don't mind it. They're making proactive plays elsewhere and seeding objectives without contesting losing ones, and that's very promising. And actually, I'm seeing more promise from this team's macro than I did in the previous game, which was between top-of-the-table teams.
There we go. As now Dawn is rotated into the mid lane. Arrow, a little bit wide. I like the play. He maybe took a page out of your book, Briz. Popped the ultimate.
That was angled, though.
Oh, yeah, he was like, he
Send
went
it
to top.
Straight down.
He went to top. He was just trying to play a little bit. He was just trying to see what he could do, but there you go. Trying to at least cause a play. Might get a lucky arrow, might connect onto a target. And for someone like Raven, who's sitting next by with an Orianna, now on her Ludens, by the way, might be able to do enough burst damage onto Dawn to take him out.
Yeah, definitely do consider that this Orianna is all about the burst at this point. Shockwave teamfight defining ult. I said in Champ Select, you whoa, here's the Bard.
Oh no, Shensekai unfortunately nowhere that he can really run, gets stunned up, and Kanji already has that Black Cleaver. He could shred apart this Ornn slowly but surely, as unfortunately, we mentioned Shensekai, he is unfortunately the punching bag, it seems, of Resurgence when it comes to these games, as Kanji will find himself a kill alongside Mocha.
Yeah, no flash quite yet for Shinsekai on that Ornn. We said that this guy is the one that is bullied time and time again for Resurgence. I feel bad for him, and he's on a champ that shouldn't really be exploited so heavily, but at the same time, it's Liyab playing towards their win conditions.
Do see here, though, Resurgence finally are able to trade back a tower and get some pressure, but mid lane is going to be wide open here for Dawn, as I feel like your mid first-tier tower a little bit more important compared to that top tier 1, and that will open up the mid section of the map here for Liyab if they want to try and advance that ward line.
While I do agree that mid-tier 1 is much more significant for map control than top-tier 1, if you consider the state of the game for Resurgence, it's basically them saying, look, let's try and trade evenly in gold rather than map pressure right now, and just farm up, because we need to keep trading evenly if we're going to even think about scaling towards this late-game team fight that was promised.
Oh, and you talk about trying to scale back up. I'll give it to Raven here, even though he has not been part of any deaths on the side of Resurgence so far. He has been able to farm up a Storm, considering Rex has been all over the place. He is now down 50 CS, and at least the Orianna will be able to equal the damage, I do believe, of a Twisted Fate, at least if a fight does break out, and have still the same amount of impact with that Shockwave.
So the thing about TF is that he doesn't actually deal damage until 3, 4, 5 items, while Orianna right now can just steamroll the team fight, especially if she opts for the Spellbinder second, which actually probably won't be the case here. This should be a Banshee's Veil, so that's one less gold card target for the TF. And I think that, you know, come this teamfight phase, you're just going to see Liyab maybe play a little bit more intelligently in their fighting, and just have Urgot in one lane, TF in another, Bard, Ezreal, Trundle just rotating wherever they want and using their map mobility to really, you know, hammer home the fact that this team knows how to play the macro.
Well, that seems to be the case. Dawn also has been able to finish off his Iceborne Gauntlet, so has a little bit extra CD, as well as some ability to kite back if Resurgence try and jump on top of him, as well as now that Roa for Rex should be fully stacked here in the next minute, as well as now Bork online for Mexi as he starts working toward his rune ends.
So, I'm not necessarily sure if I'm a fan of this Death Dance third item, as we do see Herald popped in
The
bot
base.
river. Oh, base. Okay, yeah, sure. Why not? It's going top. Just loads of pings in bot river for whatever reason. I guess Bard Tunnel was a bit spooky. But, yeah, so the thing is about this Death Dance third item, after the QSS, nice, is that you're the only real damage threat on your team, because Urgot's a bruiser, APTF doesn't deal damage until 3-4 items. I would have liked to have seen Blade third from Dawn here. It's just a lot of safety where we didn't necessarily need to see it, and that does give Resurgence a way back in.
Well, you know, maybe he just feels concerned he might get caught out by that Ashe arrow. I kind of like the play here from Liyab. It kind of pretty much forces now Resurgence. If they take too long on trying to decide if they want to go for this mountain, look at the Rex. He's actually onto the second tier tower in bot lane, has his Lich Bane completed as well. And there's also now a Rift Herald in top lane that's been slowly pushing in because they brought it out in base. It looks like Resurgence, they say, okay, we have to get something at very least, but Destiny is going to be popped by Rex. Tower's going to be taken down in bot lane. The Destiny's just there as a bait, but let's see, they got to be afraid of the engage that falls on through. Doidoi gets taken on down. It is going to be, again, some decent damage coming out from Dawn. Almost able to take down Boxer, but he gets himself to safety. Kanji needs to finish off the kill. He will not be able to, but look at top lane. Rex is not even playing PvE. He's playing PvE as he's in top lane. Flash forward from Mocha, and somehow Liyab are somehow winning a fight in a 1v3 situation, a 3v4 situation, and the inhib in top lane's taken. And Rex is pushing on to the Nexus towers with Rift Herald.
Okay, Liyab, they continue the push, they continue the teamfight victory. Resurgence, they looked like they could turn it at the Drake fight. They looked like they could find a team fight. Herald that was popped in the top lane in base, made its way all the way down there, rendezvoused with the TF, and everything goes in Liyab's favor there. They clear out the map of tier 2s, they clear out top of an inhib. Yes, they lose the Drake, but they win a fight, and they have so much map to work with now.
The fact is that legitimately looked like a set play from Liyab. Where has this kind of like map control decision making ever come from this team until week 4 out of nowhere? Rex is like, all right, I'm going to pop ultimate just to bait, then I'm going to join in on this fight. He takes a, 3 towers in total because of that one play? That gets now Liyab almost an 8,000 gold lead at 22 minutes.
4 towers in total, actually, because he's got bot tier 2 while the Drake fight was happening. He popped Destiny, went top to get tier 2 top with the Herald, got inhib tower, got inhib, got 1 Nexus tower to boot. And yeah, Rex definitely heard you were talking smack leading into this game.
Apparently. The guy's put on his carry hat as far as the
Granted,
goes.
He still only has 40% kill participation.
We're about you know what? At least he's playing objectives. At least he's playing objectives, Abriz. And you know what? It's kind of paying off. Now Liyab, though. Gutsy. But it doesn't look like Resurgence are going to actually come back and check this. They seem afraid that, hey, maybe, you know, Bard is. They now finally ping it out. They say something's kind of going on. There is going to be your hawk shot coming on through, but Destiny already popped down to 5,000 health with the teleport there from Kanji as well. This should be a Baron and one of the most proactive decisions we have seen from Liyab. Maybe I spoke a little bit too soon. Doidoi, he's dancing in the pit. Shockwave, they steal the Baron on the side of Resurgence. You gotta be kidding me, Liyab. That was the freest thing you could have taken. But now, Boxer caught out toward the side. Rex is able to find himself a kill. And it's 2 kills over to Liyab, but they throw away the Baron to a Shockwave.
Raven Redemption Arc, the shockwave from that Orianna stealing everything away. Doidoi, his fancy feet, and the worst smite we've seen today. The Trundle does go wide. The Trundle misses his one job. And it means that Resurgence could be making a resurgence in this game.
Can we please take another look here? So Doidoi gets pretty low, and I like it from the side of... Oh, he had to smite early.
That was beautiful.
Oh. That's
why. Shockwave anyway. Yeah.
It would have died to Shockwave, so he had to smite or else he died. But that did mean no smite. An easy take there from Resurgence with Raven able to come in clutch.
And actually, at this point, Raven's saying, all right, maybe the Veil would have been nice, but we need the Spellbinder. That extra burst to really turn around the team fights. Liyab, as it turns out, they can play the map, but still, you know, the team fight's a little bit too hard to brute force at this point, and that's why you see them kind of sat back with it. Oh, nope, Dawn is not sat back. Dawn is doing whatever that is.
Dawn does not care. Another arrow coming in. Dawn's had a couple of those whiz by. Actually, Mocha here, though, gets caught out, and small catches like that can cost you a lot here if you're on the side of Liyab as Mocha.
You know.
Yeah.
This is very similar to the alpha game that Resurgence played, where they got smashed early, almost pulled it back, and this time, Mexi is not on an Ezreal that can eat in to die twice in the team-defining, you know, in the game-defining team fights. So, if it continues at this rate, maybe we see Resurgence pulling this one back.
We'll see here now. Like, take a look, though, over to Liyab. They are still in a prime position if they can keep up the pace. They are still seem a little bit worried about this Baron buff, as they have 3 items for your Ezreal. You got Rapid Fire also online now for Rex, just so he has the extra range when it comes to his gold cards. And you also have the Stone Plate completed now for Kanji. So 3rd items on the board for Liyab. Can still try and pressure in this game, and I guess that's kind of what we were wondering is, are they going to be able to keep up the pace and prevent Resurgence from catching back up?
I mean, you saw them attempt to, you know, put the pedal down to the floor when they made that aggressive rotation for the Baron. But at the same time, I think the fact they gave too many Drakes early for free did kind of shoot themselves in the foot here for Liyab, because yes, while they now see Soul as a win condition, that's in 10 minutes. So they need to be careful about how much they're giving away until then.
And with that, mid lane tower is going to be sieged in here by Resurgence. So they're able to trade on back as the Baron buff will disappear. And all right, like you mentioned, 27 minutes now. We're going to start to see Resurgence's comp come back online. And the question is, can they hold down some of these team fights? You got to also factor in item efficiency. That's going to be coming on through from this Horn. Helps, you know, equal out a little bit of that goal difference. And all right, Liyab, it's on you here if you want to try and close things out.
What will we see? Do we see Nautilus 0-5 Destiny with red side 100% win rate from Liyab? Or do we see Resurgence making, I don't know, I don't want to say making Resurgence again, but you know. Really though, it looks still like it's in Liyab's favor, but that 6k gold lead is becoming less and less significant the longer the game goes on. Plus, factor in that Ornn adds about 3k worth of value at the moment between the 3 ornaments on his team. So it's actually not that huge a disparity, especially when you consider that Resurgence do have the better 5v5 on paper just by champion choice.
Can we also highlight the fact that Raven has become a farm machine on this Orianna? 315 at 28 minutes. As poor Rex, he's been in a side lane non-stop and still hasn't been able to catch up to the farm, as Raven's just been clearing out everything.
That is kind of worrying considering how long Rex did spend, you know, just sat with minion waves. Granted, I think he was more focused on auto-attacking towers than last-hitting creeps, but also, this is, you know, kind of bleeding over into the rest of the team as a bit of a consequence. Raven getting so much of this lead for himself, just by the fact that your AD carry is 250 farm near 30 minutes, which is, yeah, and your top laner is basically not farming.
Yeah, Shensekai at this point has kind of foregone any farm other than the stuff that's pretty much just walked into him, as we see Rex just going to try and do what he can. And top lane, it's pressured in, but Resurgence are happy to clear that out. Let's see what's going to happen here mid as Dawn just wants to press forward, gets himself, again, a quick W onto the tower, gets a chunk, but has to back off immediately.
Rex made the hero play to get that top lane inhib, and all the rest of the team did with it was lose Baron. So, I don't know, Opal, maybe you flamed the wrong member of Liyab today.
I wasn't flaming. I was just stating facts here, right?
Making an observation.
Making an observation. Unfortunately, you know what? He's gone the route of the PvE approach. And maybe the rest of the team just kind of... Again, that was such a close Baron call. And it looked good. But again, having to play it safe, it seemed, on the side of Liyab. That was Doidoi. As here we go. Another Baron attempt for Liyab. We'll see whether or not Doidoi can keep himself nice and safe during this take.
Yeah, they have full vision of the fact that Epic is bot side as well. So the level lead for this Kindred doesn't even matter unless you see Resurgence closing this gap immediately. They don't have the Bard on their team though, so it shouldn't be contested.
You see here, Liyab, they want to pull off this Baron. Doidoi was kind of uncertain. He left off for a little bit, but got to understand, Dawn can shred this down. In comes the ultimate. Here's Raven with the Shockwave. He doesn't seal it back, but it's still not going to be enough as the Baron is secured and the Magical Journey able to get the team to safety.
Yeah, a lot of damage coming out there, but not enough to snatch that away. Resurgence, blind to it, didn't react in time. They have Hawkshot for these situations, but couldn't find Liyab before Liyab stole that Baron away from under them.
All right, so Liyab now able to secure the Baron buff this time around. Got a little scared. You saw a 3-man Shockwave come out from Raven, and you also saw how much damage comes out from Raven. And that's just one source of damage on the side of Resurgence. So for Liyab, that's still got to be a concern.
You know, I actually think that was a very, very slow Baron take, and I think that Resurgence had, you know, ample time to actually respond to it. It was just the communication wasn't there, the awareness wasn't there, and Resurgence, even if they have the better 5v5, Liyab, as long as they continue to out-rotate you with aggressive calls like that, should never be in a position to be caught out and forced to opt into a 5v5.
So now my question is Liyab actually confident enough to try and pressure in, siege in onto the base of Resurgence, or are we just going to see Rex just try and split push away on a side lane and hope that they're able to knock down an inhib?
So I wanted to see the TF Urgot both play 1-3-1, play side lane with your Baron buff even better, but the issue is that if you do that, and you get caught because there's an Ash Arrow, there's a Nautilus ult, there's an Orianna unafraid just throw Shockwave out wildly, it could be the end of the game for Liyab, and that's why they're playing the more kind of controlled 1-3-1, waiting for everyone to get in position, waiting for the waves to sink, and then crash. But Resurgence, they're a bit wise to where Rex is. Baron buff is here, so they know for a fact he's near the minions because he's given Baron to the cannon.
Well, you see Doi pathing around, realizes that's a pretty fresh ward, as he'll probably want to maybe try and back off. Meanwhile, bot lane, there you go. You're going to have the Urgot in the side lane alongside Mocha to try and threaten Shensekai, and that tower's going to start getting taken down. Dawn in the mid lane. Dawn's pretty far forward. Luckily for him, no call made yet from the side of Resurgence, as now all 3 inhibitors will be exposed. That was a flash forward from Boxer, not able to get in range. Doi puts down the thumb as the BM comes rolling through, and now base exposed for Resurgence. At some point, Resurgence need to say, we have the better team fight. We can take down the members, or they're going to get tripled in him. They're just going to get poked down. As Epic down to half health on this Kindred. He has to go back to Fountain. The base is already exposed. Sure, the Temper Fate doesn't land, but that is going to be a triple inhib take from Liyab.
Baron buff siege continues. You see Boxer fishing for a fight.
Boxer, he tried to go in, but it wasn't enough. Luckily for him, Lamb's Respite is there, but guess what? Kanji just says, come out of there. You're not invulnerable. Godlike goes Dawn, and fortunately for Senseikai, nowhere to run. Destiny comes out from Rex on the edge of the fountain, and Liyab look to put the nail in the coffin, taking down the regional rivals. Can Mexi hold the base? Can Mexi make the hero play? It's a little too late for the side of Resurgence as Liyab find their second victory of summer.
And one miracle Baron steal made me believe that we could see the Resurgence comeback, but unfortunately for them, they can't find the miracle team fight, they can't find the victory, and it's Liyab that cleanly closed that one out after a bit of a hiccup come the mid-game.
And for Liyab, they're able to set the game on fire for sure, with a heavy, aggressive early game that we wanted to see out of this team for once in our lifetime. All right, the way this had been going, we had not been able to see it before. We got to see Rex involved in plays early, and I got to ask, whoever had we also questioned for Cabbage, who was in charge of the shot calling come for the last 3 weeks? And he says, you know what? There's a little bit of everyone's input when it comes to this team's decision making. Well, whoever had the decision to go for that gutsy inhibitor 3 turret take for a dragon, bravo. That's all I can say at the least.
Yeah, that was a really promising display of confidence and macro coming through from Liyab, who we didn't have the highest of expectations for coming into that game. By the way, the Kindred, I checked at the end of the game, 2 hunts completed in that entire game. Not a champion, an ult, and not a great ult when the Urgot, as you said and saw, can just pull you out of it.
Let's go ahead and take a look toward, I believe this was Raven Steel, actually.
Doi sidestepped everything, but yeah. Everything missed Doi. Doi missed the Baron.
Well, not a whole lot you can do when you have to use Smite to stay alive, but MVP, all right. He still has one of the worst KPs in the world when it comes to mid lane, but I'll give him credit. Guy pulled on through. He was able to play the PvE, and Rex stepping up to the table on the Twisted Fate pick. Love what we saw at the very least. He deserves our MVP for their win over Resurgence.
Yeah, really good communication coming out from him in the mid lane, and then just, you know, the early stages where he reinforced his jungle support duo, finally, and making that proactive call to, you know, just move out the bot lane to the top lane, get the inhib, crash the Nexus tower. Always in a side lane and always kind of playing out the way he needed to really cement Liyab's victory here.
Yeah, so for Liyab, they get themselves their second win of the season. They gotta be pretty excited. For Resurgence, unfortunately this time around, they don't get to be the upsetter for Liyab like we saw back in spring, and they will have to take the loss here, at least for the first wave of the double round robin. As we take a look back at our play from today, red side seemed to be the secret formula, as that's going to be 6 back-to-back games of red side victory.
And I do wonder, is it because of the blue side set ban in every game? Probably not, but just happy coincidence, really. Yeah, red side really pulling through here. A couple of upsets, of course, over the course of the day. And, well, here's the rankings after that.
There you go. At the top of the table, it is J-Team. AHQ were able to tie up with PSG when it comes to the standings. Machi, just below them, though, had the extra game where they did end up losing, so still the opportunity for them to end up tying into that second place. HKA and Nova kind of sit in that mid-pack of the table, and now Liyab able to, you know, just go for a quick jump over Berjaya, who are now in that bubble spot, currently 9th and 10th alongside Resurgence.
Yeah, and the thing is, about the way this has panned out so far, we only have 3 more games left of the regular first round robin, rather. And that does mean, well, we now have a clear-cut J-Team in first coming out of that. 8-1 is a phenomenal record. And Summer is really shaping up now.
Yeah, we're starting to get a clear idea, a clear indicator of the current power rankings when it comes to the teams, and what teams need to step up the table if they want to try and make their way back into the top of the standings, and especially now for Resurgence, for Berjaya Dragons, who currently sit outside of a playoff berth. Now we got to start to say, all right, you know what? We're halfway through the regular season of Summer after our first 3 games tomorrow, and you got to start questioning, are you going to be able to make playoffs with the way you are playing, or do you have to make a change somewhere? Do you have to make adjustments to either your roster or just overall team philosophy? That is, though, going to be the end of our show, and I have to say thank you on behalf of the production staff, myself, Riku, and Briz. Thank you guys for tuning on in. Of course, we got more PCS action coming to you tomorrow for our second day of Week 4.